All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. I am Tracey Fines, your flipping queen, and I have a very, very, very special guest with me today, Mr. Armin. I think some of you might have seen him in some of my other videos, but we were actually recently hanging out together, and he was helping me out with my TV pilot, my TV show pilot that I've been doing. So we're going to talk about money, getting the money, organizing a deal, how we structure a deal. And he's also a builder. So there's like multifaceted, great talent in the room. And we're going to get started just after this.
Well-known interior designer from Canada and a good friend of mine, Tracey Fines.
Tracey Fines has been a successful real estate investor for over 25 years. Not only does she flip properties for massive profits, she designs and builds luxury custom homes and develops land. Tracey is an experienced investor and builder, published interior designer, and she has won numerous awards for design. Tracey is an award-winning author and international speaker who has been featured in international publications and on television. Having a zest for life, a love of great design, and an enthusiasm for creating beauty, she will uplift and inspire you to take massive action in your life to achieve your goals. And she wants to help you do the same. Please welcome Tracey Fines.
Wow. All right. I hope I've got this technology thing going on. All right. Welcome to today's show, everyone. And here is my special guest, Mr. Armin. Hello, Mr. Armin.
Hi, Tracey. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I'm really excited today about our, our time together today, because, we kind of go off the rails a lot when we get very into these like sort of I'm not going to say like deep discussions, but they're kind of deep in a flipping way, because like we start to get excited about how to structure deals and how to be creative. It's really about being creative. And
Sure.
We had an amazing chat just a couple days ago, and I said, why the heck are we not doing this like on live, right? Like we should be sharing this knowledge and wisdom for other people to learn and be able to, do this in their life. So I asked you if you'd come on today and we'll do our presentation together. And so here we are, off the cuff.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. I'm really very grateful for you to take the time out of your busy day to be here. So I just want to sort of dive back into where we were, because we have great conversations about structuring deals. And just to give the audience a little bit of background on who you are, I know you as my neighbor first. Well, actually, first I knew you as a builder, and then you moved into the, I guess, the house you were building, right, in my neighborhood. I think so.
That's correct.
Yeah. And then we got to know each other as neighbors. And then of course we had, the love of building houses. We had that shared, interest as well. So we had sort of a easy time to chat about whatever we were doing in our work life. And so I've known you, I don't know, it's like probably close to 15 years, which is a kind of crazy long time, right?
That's about right. Yeah.
Why don't you just give the audience like a quick, minute background on yourself? I mean, I think, like, I know for me, like, we've certainly worked together. You financed some of my projects. You've helped me with the financing. You also are building houses yourself, and maybe just give the audience a quick little overview of what you're doing and what you've got to offer, type of thing.
Sure. So just as a background, I'm an engineer with a MBA, and I did not have a background in construction. I had a background in management consulting. Worked with for Ernst & Young, and later on in private practice. And over the course of a number of years, got into custom home building, and as a hobby, and then as a profession later on. I've built about 35 custom homes in the city of Toronto, and in some on spec and some many for clients. And at one point, I also started doing some lending to builders. And so, I spent some time on construction, I spent some time on lending, and I spent some time on consulting.
Sounds like a triple threat to me.
That pays the bills.
That's awesome. No, you have, and I can attest to it because I've seen your properties, and you build beautiful custom homes, and
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we've kind of complimented the neighborhood like that. We've been working in the same neighborhood actually for many years, and this is actually a really good point that I want to make, and that is that there's enough for everyone. You don't have to feel like there's not enough, or that there's lack in the world. Like, there's enough for everyone. Here we are. Armin and I worked in the same neighborhood. He had his projects, I had mine. We didn't have to feel like we were competitors. I mean, once in a while we might have been looking at the same property to buy, but honestly, like, it just is a lesson to say that there is enough for everyone to do this. It's not like there's a scarcity of properties to get it and to flip. So
yeah, you definitely run out of capital before you run out of opportunities.
Yeah. Like I mean, I don't know if you agree. I'm pretty sure you do, but like for me, like if I didn't get a deal, there was always another deal around the corner.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes, and I like to look at this sort of in a more sort of philosophical way. And I think, okay, well, I wasn't meant to get that one because there's something better waiting for me. And I just like to sort of frame it that way, so I don't get too attached to the opportunity that I missed. And but that's what I like to say. Like,
I mean, that's a smart way to do it, because at the end of the day, you're doing it to generate a profit. And if you get too emotional into one deal, you might be overpaying on land or overpaying on financing or whatever the case.
I want to highlight that point actually, because this is something that I teach my students, and that is to not get attached to the deal. And that's exactly what you were saying. Like, do not get emotionally attached. Like, this is a business, and the bottom line is that the numbers have to make good sense for us to spend our energy on that property. And that's, I think, the best lesson really for everyone here that's listening, is to look at it as a business. It's not just about having fun and flipping a property and making it beautiful like all the TV shows. It's actually about growing your net worth and making money and having the flipping great life that you want to have. So let's just jump into, I don't know, we were having like this crazy conversation the other day, and I want to share this with the audience, because this is kind of how my world looks when I'm working on a deal. So currently I am planning on building a new house on this property. I'm going to be tearing down the old house and then building a brand new house. So I am at the stage right now where I'm about ready to, the design's all done, and I'm about ready to submit it to the building department to get a permit. Okay. And so at this point, I want to sell it pre-construction. Armin and I have talked about him helping me on this project and being the general contractor for me and the project manager of the construction so that, you know, we can work together on it, and I can basically delegate a lot of the you know, the logistical stuff of getting the property built to somebody else. Like for me, it's just not what I love to do anyway. It's not my forte. And Armin is like, I think from what I've seen anyway, we haven't worked together yet, but from what I've seen, he's a very organized engineer type person, like that is very analytical. And I think it's a really good match for me because I'm more of a free spirit, creative type that, you know, I'm not into like, I mean, I'm definitely into the numbers because I definitely want the bottom line to be good, but I can't get into the minutia of all the details that go along with a very sophisticated project, which is building a house. I mean, how many parts and pieces go into, like, if you had to take a guess, like how many pieces of things like go into making a brand new house?
Well, actually, we've done the numbers on that. You need about 120 companies, including trade companies and suppliers, to go through the house in order to build a custom home.
Wow, you see, I knew you would have had some analytics on that. 120 companies to go through the house.
So when people say, well, you know, what does it take to build a home? I mean, there's quite a bit of management involved in making sure that those 120 companies, you know, are doing the right things, are coordinated, you know, that your project plan is running as it should.
Yeah, you never cease to amaze me with that stuff, but I love it. I think that's one of the reasons why I think that will be good to work together that way, because you're really detail oriented when it comes to that. I'm detail oriented when it comes to the way the house is going to present, and I think that that's like I'm looking forward to that. I think it'll be really good for us to do that together. But
Sure.
I want to go back to our conversation the other day, because so here's my dilemma. Well, it's not really a dilemma. Here's what I wanted to have an opportunity to bounce off my ideas off another person that understands the process, has experience in this. And so of course I called up Armin because we have you know, been talking a lot and doing sort of preliminary kind of discussions on how this project's going to look. So I called him up. I said, I want to sell this pre-construction. How would you do it? And here's the way it looks. It's going to be approximately a $5 million company, not a company, $5 million sale price at the end once it's built. And so the way I want to sell it pre-construction, so I was just saying to you, Armin, like how would we do, or how could I do that? Like, have you done that before? Because I have not done that before. I've always built the house myself, financed it myself, and then sold it. So that's one of the reasons why I actually asked you, like, how have you done it? And so do you want to just tell everybody like sort of what your advice is on pre-construction sale of a brand new home?
Sure. Well, I think the first thing that you sort of look at is, you know, does the real estate market have tailwinds or headwinds? So right now, if I look at the Toronto market, I think there's a number of things that cause tailwinds. One, interest rates are at rock bottom. Two, we're coming out of a pandemic, and we've had a lack of immigration into the country for over a year now, which means that once borders are open, they're going to try to catch up to all the applications for immigration into the country. So that's going to be a pressure, an upward pressure on prices. And the other thing is inflation. So there's some strong signs of inflation coming. And what better way to hedge yourself against inflation is to invest in real estate. So those three things have already, even during the pandemic, when everybody thought the market was going to crash, it actually went the opposite direction, and it is red hot right now.
I know, it's crazy.
So, so in terms of doing a pre-construction deal, the way you want to do it is there's a play to this. There's a tax play to this, and when I say tax play, it's all above board. But if you sell a home after you build it, you pay HST on the sale price of that home, 13%. If you do a pre-construction and transfer the land and the existing house to the potential purchaser, and then set up a construction contract, the price of the land does not incur any HST. So when you look at Toronto, and as an example, your $5 million end price home, the land value on that could be roughly $3 million, and 13% of $3 million is $400,000 or $500,000. So that's a massive difference in savings that you can share with a potential guy that might be interested in buying the home, and it just makes the whole thing attractive to anybody.
Yeah, that's like a crazy amount of money on 3 million, like to pay 13%. So by separating them into two contracts, basically like a land transaction with the old house, and then a contract to do the construction for the new house, you kind of take that $5 million and sort of you minimize the tax exposure by splitting it into whatever makes sense, like for the split.
Yeah, because you do not get charged to HST when you buy an existing house. That's the rule.
Right.
So when you buy a new house, you get charged HST. In this case, in our instance, we're taking an existing house, we're buying it for the land, but we're getting a house with it. We're tearing down that house and building a new house. So there's an opportunity in our case to be able to transfer the land with the existing house tax-free, and then set up a construction contract for the remainder of the funds needed to get to the $5 million sell price.
Yeah. Now, something that just came to mind when you were saying that is we as the flipper builder developer that we are, and this is a business for us to earn a living, we would definitely want to protect ourselves when it comes to this splitting of the contracts, because we don't want the buyer of the property to close on the land portion and then fire us as builders. So we would want to have a little buffer there. And do you want to just touch on that, what you think makes sense?
Yeah, so it's not necessarily that an end user would fire you as a builder. I mean, that may happen, but that isn't usually the scenario you're trying to protect against. There's obviously, it's a competitive real estate market, and you've got lots of builders that are looking to purchase land to do the same thing. So obviously a builder that purchases your property, the land portion of the property, is not really interested in you for you to do the construction on it, because they're a builder and that's their bread and butter. So in order to protect yourself against somebody buying the land and building it themselves, you basically add a premium to the a reasonable premium to the land, so that in order for that, if that ever happened, you still have made the money on flipping the land, and you've made profit without actually having to construct the home. So yeah, so I mean, that's sort of the way you do it.
Yeah, that's cool. So we were talking about, okay, so we were working out sort of how I'm going to structure this deal, because I have my plans now and I'm just getting them some renderings done. And then I'm going to put this property pre-construction on the market. So now just think about this. How many pre-construction $5 million homes do you see? I mean, they're not on the market that much. Usually builder developers are, just finishing building them before they try to sell them. But I think it's good to have a bird in the hand. I just think it's a good way to be conservative. And, maybe I'll take a little bit less than what I might get in a year from now. There is appreciation in the market, and I'm confident that there is going to be definitely appreciation by next year. But at the same time, I want to move on to another property. And if I can release myself from the constraints of the financing on this property, I'll be able to go off and do another exciting project. So for me, it's just really about keeping the momentum going and not being, I've already been stuck with this property, which is a good property. I'm not complaining about the property, but I've been stuck with it because COVID's shut down the process for like a good 9 more months, like maybe close to a year. And honestly, I just need to have my momentum back. So going forward, I'm about to put the property on the market just with plans, and my permit's on the way. But then we were talking about, okay, I said to you, like, I don't want to stop. So if I put it on the market and I get my permit and nobody's bought it pre-construction, I'm like, I just want to keep moving on it. Like, I just want to keep building it. So then I said to you, Armin, like, would you be willing to finance, not only build the house for me, but to finance the construction for me? And why don't you talk a little bit about how that looked, that part of the conversation?
Yeah, so I mean, on the lending side, we do a lot of construction financing, and typically, I mean, every lender is different, but typically what we try to do is make sure that the loan to value on the project doesn't exceed 75% loan to value throughout the construction project. So, and because I'm in construction, I don't really need appraisals done on every draw in order to release more funds. So what you do is basically on the land portion, you provide 75% of the value of the land, and then as the construction progresses, there's a land value, and then there's an end value, and the construction basically slowly moves the property value from the land value to the end value. So let's say you have the building envelope completed, windows in, doors in, brick up, as an example, then you'd have a certain portion of the construction value completed, and therefore now you've, let's say that was half, as just to make the math work, and it was land value to end value was $1 million. So you could basically say that you added $500,000 of value to that property, even though maybe you only spent $300,000 in out-of-pocket costs for that. So you're able to keep that financing going and still, as a lender, protect yourself that there's enough equity in the property.
I want to simplify what you said. I totally agree. And I think for the audience, that might have gone over their head a little bit. So I just want to say what happens is when you have $5 million property is the end value, and I want to divide it up into a land acquisition for the new buyer and a construction contract. There's profit in there. Okay. So there's going to be profit put onto the land, a portion of the profit, and there's a portion of the profit that's going to be put on the construction. And so what happens is while the construction is being done, your value is exponentially going to be quite a bit greater than the cost. Okay. Because there's profit built in there. So when you're building this house, the value is going up, exponentially because of the built-in cushion that we have in there. So really what happens is that your exposure as a lender, your risk lessens as the house gets put together. Correct?
Yeah, that could be correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It really depends on, it also depends on other situations, how much money you've got in there, like how much money you continue to, put into the property. But yeah, it makes it easier because, again, for every dollar that you're lending to a project, if you are comfortable with, let's say 75% loan to value, you want to make sure that for every dollar, $100 you're putting into it, you're at least increasing the value by $75.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you end up, it depends on the project really. If the value of the property is going up faster than that, then there's equity getting built up as well.
Yeah, exactly. So roundabout to the conclusion that we had the other day was that we can basically do this in 2 contracts. When I have a potential buyer come to me and say, okay, I'm interested, want to buy this property for $5 million. That's when I'm going to have the conversation with them that, we're going to do 2 contracts here. It'll be a land, you'll buy the land from me, and then we'll sign a contract to build it for you. And then I'm like, oh yay, I got this property off of my back and onto someone else's back, which is great. And then I can go like skedaddle to find another great deal. And that's how, for me, that's how I'm scaling my business. But
correct. And for the buyer, the buyer has multiple advantages. One, they've got the ability to buy a beautiful home that may be hundreds of thousands of dollars below its value, simply because there's some avoided HST in the equation. Secondly, they've got the ability to customize the home, the finishes to exactly what they want, right? Yeah. And there might also, it might be in a neighborhood where it's very difficult to, find the home that you like, that there's just not enough new builds happening or not enough product for sale. So.
And I'm banking on that because I'm in a very, pardon me?
That's the other thing. Right now, the real estate market is red hot because there's just simply not enough listings out there.
Yeah. And I'm in a really very, very highly desirable neighborhood. And I already have real estate agents like calling me saying, like, can we see the plans? What's going on? We have buyers. And so it's just good. And honestly, like I don't know how many years have you been investing in real estate, like building and flipping like this?
Probably 15 now.
Yeah. So I've been doing this 25 years. So for me, the market over the course of 25 years definitely has gone up, definitely gone down, definitely gone sideways, definitely gone loop-de-loop. But I honestly, God, I believe you can make money in every kind of market. Definitely have to do your homework. Always study the numbers, make sure that they work, But I absolutely believe that even in down markets, great opportunity to buy in a down market. And do you have any experience with that, buying in a down market?
Um, Down market or a market that's going down?
Yeah, either way, just like, do you have like a thought on that?
Yeah, so I mean, my view is you've got a let's say a year or a year and a half long project. So in an up market, no problem, it's beautiful. On a market that's come down, also beautiful, because the price of the land is cheaper now. You know, the sudden downturn of the real estate market may require you to hold on to the property for a couple of years until it recovers a bit. So I mean, those are sort of, every project you need to go in with a couple of scenarios in your head, a plan A and a plan B at least, so that what you do, you do have a market force that raises and lowers prices. So you just have to manage that risk by having a couple of different plans.
But wouldn't you agree that in the kind of work that we have been doing and enjoying, that there is a fairly significant buffer zone, because the return on your investment can be, I mean, in my experience, it could be over 100% return on my money. So
Right.
wouldn't you agree that that's like a huge buffer, right? So even if the market
Absolutely, yeah.
like took a dive of 30%, like is 70% ROI still good? I mean, of course.
Yeah. So you're 100% correct. Like if your margin on a project, just from a cost, not from an investment point of view, from an investment point of view, it's not, it could be 100%, but from just a cost point of view, let's say it's 25%. Well, that's a pretty substantial real estate crash that would be caused if you had a 25% reduction in value. And even in that worst case scenario, you now have a home that you're at break even. So you did this multiple times with 25% gains, and on the on this one occurrence, you broke even. Well, you know what? That's a pretty good downside. Yeah. They talk about asymmetric risk. So you try to go into deals where the downside is small and the upside is high, right? That's sort of your best business situation.
Good business model, good business planning. So yeah. that in fact has been my experience. In 25 years, I have not lost any capital, and I have sometimes not made any money, and I worked for free basically, which really sucked. But I have to say that I have not had any of the capital touched, which is, I think a really great track record.
Yeah, same here. I haven't lost any money. I think it was in 2017 where it was going completely berserk, 20% increase. At that point, I bought a bungalow in a lower cost property bungalow that I purchased, and by the time it closed, on that purchase, I had lost $100,000. But I had to switch to plan B, which I basically, did the reno on it, rented the main floor and the basement separately, got an income going, and which completely covered the cost of the home. I've kept that home for 3-4 years. The price has gone way past the point of being profitable now, and I still have an income coming from it. So, that's what I mean by a plan B. Like you got to think about, okay, if there's a sudden blip, you're not gonna lose everything you have. You got to have some kind of a cushion, and your profit margin is a great cushion, but then actually having a second a plan B is another way to hedge your risk.
Yeah. I mean, this is the beauty, right, of real estate investing, is that there's so many different things you can actually do to a property. And, you know, when you start looking at the options, you know, you can do the buy in the hold, you know, buy, fix and hold. You can pull out equity at that point. You can, you know, potentially redevelop the property. You can maybe just get a tenant in there as it is. Like there's so many different things that are options when it comes to real estate. And so we have this flexibility. Now, of course, we as developers, we know what we want to do, like our you know, our best case scenario. We know what we want to do, but we do have other options just in case, right? Like this happened, like shit happens a lot. So you never know. All right. So I think it's been great information today. Thank you, Armin, so much for joining me. If you were to say like your number one top, okay, first of all, before we go, I'm gonna put Armin's contact information in the discussion somewhere around this video so you can reach him. He is lending money, right? You want to lend money. So
I do have some funds to lend. Yeah.
Wants to lend money. So he's got, you know, a whack of money over there, and we don't know where he keeps it. I mean, he's very minimalist in his design. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere around him, and he's willing to lend it. So if any of you are listening to this in my community, wanting to do flips, builds, need private lending, then this is a person that is going to be potentially a key person of influence on your dream team, and he could help you out a lot to get your projects going. So I want to thank you today, Armin, for being my very, very, very special guest, and also, you know, business like colleague and peer, and we're gonna like probably do this together soon, and it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're gonna put it on TV, right? We're gonna film it, so it should be very well, I know I'm gonna have fun. Are you gonna have fun, Armin?
Hope so.
You're gonna get used to being on camera, and I don't know, I'm gonna like have to poke you or something so I get something out of you, but
Right.
I think I will, and I think we'll be pretty cool together. So thank you so much, and I will be speaking to you soon, Armin, and everyone who's listening. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to be here with the Flipping Queen. And what are we going to call you, Armin? Builder.
Just Armin. Armin's good.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have a great day.